welcome to another brand new episode of Dingers and Stingers, the podcast that warns Titans fans, if you think this is bottom, I have bad news for you. That is yet to come, my friends. We will talk about Brian Callahan getting fired 6 weeks into the season a little later on. We will also talk about the wide open AFC. Lots of strange, weird things going down 6 weeks into the year over in the AFC. We'll talk about most of them. We'll also take a visit to Fan Corner, make some predictions as we always do, and give you our dingers and stingers. I am Dallas. That is Matt. Drew is not here, but he'll be back with us soon. And so to start our show, as we have been doing over the course of the NFL season, we are going to go around the league in 20 seconds, giving you everyone who won and everyone who lost from week 6. So start those clocks, because here we go. The winners were the Giants, the Seahawks, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Chargers, Patriots, Rams, Colts, Panthers, Raiders, Bucks, Packers, Chiefs, Falcons, and Bears. The losers were the Eagles, Jags, Jets, Browns, Dolphins, Saints, Ravens, Cardinals, Cowboys, Titans, Niners, Bengals, Lions, Bills, and Commanders. So that is week 6 in a quick little snapshot for you. Crazy week 6. Some winners in there that are like, what is going on? The Giants on Thursday night, which feels like an eternity, especially if you are also a baseball person and have been watching those games every night. That game feels like forever ago, but it did happen in week 6. You've got the Raiders getting right against the Titans, who we'll talk about in just a second. But week 6, kind of crazy. What did you think about week 6, just to get us started?
Week 6 just encapsulates my whole belief on this year. This is like the weirdest football season I think that has been in a long time. And I don't know if that's recency bias, but this has felt like the most unpredictable season I can ever remember. Like, everything that I thought, the teams that were supposed to be good, some of them are pretty shitty. So the teams that I thought were going to be shitty, some of them, turns out, pretty good. The teams that I predicted to win the Super Bowl, turns out they're the shitty teams. Like, it's just this crazy season. I was just, right off camera before this was telling you, like, the Falcons right now are the closest team since the 2008 Chargers to be the number one and offense and number one defense and still be out of playoffs. Like, that's where we're at with them. They go out and beat up on the Bills, and 2 weeks ago they lost 30-0 to the Panthers. It's just the season is a mess. Like, this season is an absolute mess. The writers are on strike or something. Like, there's no cohesion to this season. It makes me crazy. It drives me up a wall. Like, it is crazy.
Yeah, there really is no plot to follow here,
No.
really. Especially considering some of the things that were happening in week 1 that made us think that it might be more normal than usual this year. Now we find ourselves 6 weeks in, and it's very strange. One of the strange things that has happened in this season is that a coach has already been fired. So the Tennessee Titans in the last week fired Brian Callahan, which is something that you can do if you want. I don't know that it's going to make anybody any better. I mean, when you start the way the Titans have started, they should be 0-6. Honestly, their one win is the Cardinals absolutely blowing a game that they should have won by 2 scores. And so they should be 0-6. They're 1-5. When you start like that, sure, firing the coach seems like the right thing to do. We're not going to belabor whether or not it was the right move for the Titans to fire the coach, because when a team is this bad, who cares? Do whatever you want. But what we will talk about with regard to this firing is, let's make the case for the Titans to a potential head coach. I want to focus on the positive a little bit here. And that
Mhm.
is that the Titans are a team that have players who are professional football players, some of them, and some of them will be on this team going forward. And so let's try to make a case for the Titans to a potential head coach. What do the Titans have going for them as we stand here, um, as at least what we've seen in week 6? What do they have going for them? What's the pitch here?
Yeah, I think, the Titans were a team that I thought were going to be bad, not this bad. Um, but what they have going for them is, they have the first overall pick of last year. They have a quarterback, and Cam Ward has struggled, but many of those struggles have really not been his fault. The box scores would tell you he's been very sub-average, to potentially bad. And if you watch the games, he is just trying to make something happen for a team that literally has nothing going for them. Um, their run game is okay. Their pass blocking is horrid. Calvin Ridley has not been able to get it going, and then he ended up with a little bit of an injury. Um, Pretty much the bright spots there are you have Cam Ward, and you've got this rookie receiver, Alec Manor. I I'm not going to say that right, but if you look up any player that sounds like that on the Titans, you'll see who I'm talking about. He's a rookie out of Stanford. No idea how to say his name, but I've known him for a few years, and he looks legit. Like he does look legit. He looks like one of those mid-round kind of steals at wide receiver. So that with a decent run game and the fact that like you look at this defense and they're not great, but they still have Jeffrey Simmons, they still have Ladarius Sneed. Like there's players on that defense that you're not upset about. Um, you mix that with the fact that you're looking like you're going to be a top 3 pick this year. A lot of coaches love getting their big pick when they come in. Um, and the best thing about it is you don't have to spend it on a quarterback. Like that, I think is rare for a coach coming in, that you get a top 3 pick and are not expected to pick a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last time we saw that was the Cardinals foregoing on Josh Rosen to pick Kyler. Improved the team, but ultimately looks like it didn't fix the team. And I think, the same cautionary tale should be told to the Titans. Maybe sometimes it's best to just put a team around the quarterback you got. Um, and considering you drafted him 1-1, just last year, uh, get in there and give him some tools. Give him an offensive line. Give him more weapons. Give him a defense. Like we'll see who this coach that ends up getting the job is. Obviously, right now, Mike McCoy, ex-Charger coach, has taken over in the interim. I do not believe that is the man for the job long term. I do not believe he will get the job long term. Uh, but whoever they end up going for, I think that will tell us a lot about the direction they'll end up going. But there's worse teams. Like that may be the biggest selling point. Talent wise, there are worse teams. This just looked like a team that was uninspired and was not willing to put it out there for their coach. Yeah.
Yeah, another maybe not another, but like maybe the first in a potential chain of quarterback whisperers to fall.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Callahan. We might see other offensive for like guys who were former offensive gurus also
Mm-hmm.
lose their jobs this year. Cincinnati comes to mind. Miami comes to mind when it comes to those kinds of guys. Do you think that there's anything to like the Titans being they're kind of stuck in some kind of cycle here because it started when you know they've been through a couple front offices now and a couple coaches in the last little while. So the previous front office, they were there with Mike Vrabel. They picked Will Levis in the draft. They bring in Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan didn't pick Will Levis. So now you have a situation where The front office picked the quarterback. The coach didn't pick him. He doesn't really know what to do with him. Will Levis turns into a meme. And now you're going to have a situation where, once again, you know, the coach is going to come in and he didn't pick the quarterback. He didn't pick Cam Ward. And so are you afraid that the Titans are stuck in that cycle and that Cam Ward could be another victim of that cycle?
I definitely can see the thought process of leading to that. The funny part is the guy who they moved off of is proving that to be wrong, right? Where did Vrabel go? He ended up in New England with the quarterback he didn't pick, and that quarterback now looks like he's going to be a perennial all-star, and they're 4-2, and he's turned this team around. And so I think it's one of those things like Cam Ward. Maybe the move then for the Titans isn't to go get another quarterback whisperer, right? Maybe you don't go knocking on Joe Brady or one of these guys who you want to poach from one of these teams. Maybe you got to go. I mean, dude, there's rumors right now, and maybe this is the hot take of the episode already. There's rumors out there that this could be it for Harbaugh if they really just fumbled this season.
Mm-hmm.
Look at a guy like Harbaugh, man. Get Harbaugh in the building. He's not he's a special teams coach, but what he is he's a culture builder and a team builder. He's a personnel developer. He's all the things that aren't a coordinator, right? And maybe that's what you need in Tennessee is someone who's going to just change the way they see themselves. Like it sounds so like, self-help book-ish, but like the Titans have good players and they've had good players. And, under Vrabel, we saw them have a couple really exciting playoff runs. And we saw Derrick Henry go in, and I believe they were the ones who beat either the Chiefs or the Patriots in the playoffs. And it was awesome. Like, we've seen the Titans have good years under a coach who really isn't like much of a coordinator. Vrabel obviously does call defense, but he's not like
Mm-hmm.
this like renowned defensive guy. He's just a tough leader, right? It's I think that could be the move because then you're not worried about the like did he draft him, did he not? Like sometimes you just need a coach that's going to commit. And like ironically, the other Harbaugh's doing the same thing with Herbert too. He's coming into his press conferences. He could have made a move. He could have traded up and gotten J.J. McCarthy. He could have done all these things, but he said, "No, my goal, my job is to get Herbert to the Hall of Fame." And Harbaugh's a psychopath, but like get the calm Harbaugh and bring him in and let him build a team here because at the end of the day they're going to play sound fundamental football. They have guys who are talented, and when you play within bounds of like this ethical, ball, it kind of lets talent shine sometimes because they're not being asked to do these wacky things. It's a lot of, man on man, beat the guy ahead of you. And I think the Titans could benefit from something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Last question on the Titans. When it comes to the draft, the Jets are going to give them a run for their money for the first pick, but they're probably going to be top three, defense or offense. I go defense.
I go offensive line.
There you go.
If Proctor out of Alabama or one of the other top tackles proves to be a top tackle, I mean, look at what the drafting of Penny Sewell did to the Lions, man. Like that, I will come back to Penny Sewell every day. A franchise tackle is worth any pick at any point
Yeah,
in the draft. Like
yeah.
it's up there with quarterback. It's up there with edge rusher. If there is a tackle available, and Cam Ward has the worst pass blocking potentially in the league. If there is a franchise tackle in the draft and you have the pick to take him, take him. Because guess what? Jets are probably taking a quarterback, right? They're a team that's going to be up there for that.
Yep.
Looking at the Saints, maybe they do, maybe they don't. It depends on your view on Rattler, but they absolutely could be in the market for a quarterback, if Kellen Moore wants his own. So if you're up there and you can get Caden Proctor, one of these guys, I think you got to take him. Like at this point, you got to protect the franchise quarterback, or at least give him a shot to prove he is.
Yeah, that's a great. You can't go wrong, really, in that situation. I mean, you can in theory, but not
Rams have
really.
done it.
Picking that high and taking an O lineman, you can't really go wrong. Like if you're supposed to, if there's a guy that's supposed to be taken that high. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can attest to the importance of, you know, getting a nice high pick of a lineman, making a difference for your team. Charles Cross has been my BFF for almost, you know, 4 full seasons now. We're loving it. We're having fun over in Seattle. So that's a great pick. I only say defense because their defense looks terrible. And if you can find somebody who is just like, I don't really know too much about like who's coming out at this point, but if you can find someone that's a game breaker on defense, I think it would be tough to choose which to do, O-line or defense, because the defense of the Titans they just look terrible. But that's all in the Titans. You know, it's probably 15 more minutes than they deserve, but they made a move this week. Big, bold move. Do we know who's going to be interim for them?
Mike
I'm
McCoy.
sure we do,
Mike
but
McCoy.
I
Chargers
haven't
legend.
heard that name. I haven't heard that name in forever. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
When I
Oh
saw that,
my
I was like,
God.
Mike McCoy?
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Cool. That rules. Okay. So let's end on the Titans, but stick in the conference because you know Titans disregarded. There is a lot of crazy stuff going on in the AFC. This
Yeah.
is for the first time in I don't know 8 years a wide open conference. It seems like we have
Mm-hmm.
where we're going to start is with the 4 division leaders who are pretty much all pretty surprising through week 6. The 4 division leaders in the AFC are the Patriots, the Colts, the Steelers, and the Chargers. So this is kind of a way to talk about a couple of them, and then we'll maybe talk, if there's something we want to say about another couple of them, then we can. But which do you think? We'll start with you. Which of these teams do you think is most likely to carry their current lead to a division win? You could think that none of them will win their division, but you know, do you think of these 4 is most likely to win their division at the end of the year? That's currently leading it.
Yeah, my pick for the team that I think, and I do think they will end up being the team that wins their division. I'm pretty positive of it. Not because I think that they're the best team, and not because I even think they're the best team in the division. It's because of how down bad the rest of their division is, and I'm gonna go with the Steelers. Um, they are what 4-1, 5-1 at this point. I
4-1, yeah.
4-1.
They didn't play last week, I don't think, because they went to
Okay.
London, so they didn't play last week.
Okay, so they're 4-1, and outside of the 2 wins that Joe Burrow got them before he died, the Bengals are the next team at 2 wins, and then you got the Ravens and you got the Browns. The Browns are a dumpster fire, and the Ravens are having a cursed season from hell. Um, the the Steelers are going to at least be 500 down the stretch. At least, I mean, it's Mike Tomlin football here. Like it's one of those things. He's going to rack up enough wins to be in the hunt, but in a division that I predicted to be really competitive this year, every single team has fallen off of a cliff. Um, so yeah, the Steelers, man. The Chargers, I predicted to win their division. So I
Right.
am going to say I still do believe the Chargers are a great team who could win. They're really injured right now as well, but the Steelers, I can guarantee win this division. For them to lose this division would be a generational problem.
It would be really, really hard to see that happening.
Yeah,
Considering the position that all the rest of the teams in their division are in. Um,
yeah.
uh, It's definitely, I want to say, definitely the Chargers are by far the least surprising division leader right now, by far of these four. But with a division that's been dominated by one team for a long time, you got to throw them in there. So for me, I'll take the other one that's like a little kind of safe to pick, and that's the Colts. I'll take the Colts to win their division. Um, I think that look, they're 5-1, and they're not a 5-1 is 5-1 type of a team. Like they are a true 5-1. Like they are beating people up. They are
Hmm.
straight up winning games. They are still the second offense in the NFL by EPA per play. They are still really solid defensively, seventh by EPA per play on defense. I don't know what was missed. Like I mean, well, obviously, maybe nothing was missed. Where did this Daniel Jones thing come from? You know, where did they have a rookie tight end who's contributing a great deal to their
Hmm.
success that you just not one of those things you can predict. And their defense has been solid, kind of just because. Um, like because they believe in it. Maybe every owner should have a headset on and be on the sideline. Who's to say why the Colts are the way they are? But they are not a fluky 5-1. This is a team that's beating
No.
people up, and they are going to be around this season. And in a similar way, I think while not nearly as bad as the AFC North, the other teams in the AFC South don't look particularly impressive so far. The Jaguars have had their moments where they've looked like a team that can threaten, but not really. And the Texans, if they can pull it together on offense, they can certainly give the Colts a run for their money in this division. But can they pull it together on offense? I don't want to say too many bad things about the Texans because it could immediately come back to bite me. Talk about that in a minute. But because their defense, the Texans' defense, is still really good. And so
Yeah.
even better than the Colts' defense. And Jacksonville, too. Jacksonville's defense is good, too. So, but, and then, we talked about, um, you know, uh, who I always forget who the other team in that division is.
Jaguars, Titans, Colts, and
Oh, it's the
Texans.
Titans. For some reason, I always put the
Yeah.
Titans in the AFC East. I always do that. So we've already talked about the Titans, so we don't need to talk about how down bad they are. But so the Colts, I'll take them.
Hmm.
Jonathan Taylor also having a great season. Like he's like
Yeah.
contributing to scoring like a madman. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I'll take the Colts to be the team that emerges as a division winner for me here. I do think the Steelers will also win their division, but the Colts I'll take for my pick. Um,
Yeah.
any
As long
any
as they
Colts
stay out of their
thoughts?
way, man. You see those pregame injuries?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. As long as that
The
holds.
the Colts had one of the most cursed pregame warmups I've ever seen.
I
I
know.
mean, Anthony Richardson's on IR, like Travarius Ward is on concussion protocol, and it's all just pregame warm up injuries. So I'm like, you just gotta stay out of your way, man. Watch out for the resistance bands snapping up and hitting Anthony
Yeah,
Richardson in the face. Travarius Ward just running into a tight end because why not? Like, it's just crazy stuff.
you can't make something like that up. But
No.
the the football gods have even been surprised by the Colts because they're trying to do something to stop this.
Hmm.
They're like, we didn't even see this coming. We're stopping this by injuring some players out of nowhere for no reason. But
And Daniel
you look at
Jones said, nah, nah.
right, but Daniel Jones is apparently that dude. I mean, for God's sake, I'm looking at these point totals. What is going on? Like
Yeah.
these defenses they're playing are not bad either. Broncos,
No.
Rams,
Dude, they
even
have gone
Raiders to a
up and
degree.
played good teams. Like again, it's not one of those things where they're just like a fluky 5-1 because they've happened to get the best schedule. they've gone up against good teams and they're beating them. Like teams that are going to win their divisions and be playoff teams. Like they're
Yeah,
beating teams in the
yeah.
playoffs.
I mean, they're going to have to keep proving it. I mean, the defenses left on their schedule are tough. They still have to play the Texans twice. They still have to play the Jaguars twice. They have to play Seattle. They have to play Pittsburgh here soon. Um, and so they're going to have to keep proving it, but I think they will. But let's talk about the Chargers. We kind of know why they are where they are. We don't have to talk too much about them.
Yeah.
But there's a team in here that is also kind of shockingly at the top of their division that we do have thoughts about, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure. So because we didn't mention them as a team that we think might carry it, the Patriots. Let's talk about the Patriots a little bit. Um, have they really found another perennial Pro Bowl quarterback? Or is this kind of not happening maybe, or did they really find
I
that?
I think they did, Dallas. I think they did. Drake May looks legit, man.
Mm,
Like the way he plays, he looks like. Maybe this is a poor man's comparison. He looks like Justin Herbert when Justin Herbert was a rookie. Like
mm.
the way he plays, the toughness, the straight up just the balls to make the throws that he attempts,
Yeah,
and it just dudes in his face, and he just is delivering. And it's the sign of a great quarterback is a guy who's young and can do it all under pressure, right? Because like at the end of the day, the team can get better, and that'll just make it easier for him. But if you're a guy who can deliver under pressure without the best run game, without the best receivers, without the best blocking, what's going to stop you then? Like, you know what I mean? If no one on your team is really doing much to help you, we get random games from Stephon Diggs or Hunter Henry every once in a while, but Ramondre Stevenson fumbles twice a game. They refuse to let Trevion Henderson play football. Um,
yeah,
it at some point, like he's to me, he's proven he's doing it without a help, right? Like his team could be so much better, and to me that means all he would be even better. Like I don't know, it scares me. To be honest, it scares the shit out of me. I'm not ready for the Patriots to be a yearly playoff team again. I was just like I feel like my hatred from the Tom Brady Belichick era has slowly started fading. And if they get
mm,
really good every single year again, I don't unfairly I think I'm gonna start hating their team again.
yeah, yeah. I think it just goes to see like how quickly things can turn around when you find the right guy. Like, and he certainly does look like the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about a stat that I like, which is completion percentage over expected, there are some guys that are leading the league, and they're leading them by a lot. Like they're leading the league by a lot. Um, Drake May is third currently in that statistic at 9.7 completion percentage over expected, and sixth. So he's what did I say? He's third, and sixth is Dak Prescott, and he has 5.6% completion percentage over expected. So like that's the gulf here. How good he's playing. Like he
Yeah.
is playing like one of those dudes when it comes to being accurate with the football and also making being accurate on gutsy throws, like being accurate on throws in tight windows. Deep balls that are contested. Think about things like that contribute to that stat, making that number so large. Um, being putting the ball in the right place, he's good at doing that, and that is a skill that is like it's the most enviable skill of a quarterback, in my opinion. Is can they do they have the guts to put the ball in tight windows when they need to, and does it actually help? And like, does it convert for them? And he's doing it,
Yeah.
and it's happening for him. So, the Patriots, watch out for him. They beat the Bills. That can get a team hot. And so they certainly are feeling themselves right now. And it's very hard to stop a team that's feeling themselves. Let's talk about next some teams that are not feeling themselves right now. Uh, and that is the teams we thought would be once again at the top of the conference, who are not necessarily. scraping the bottom of the barrel, all of them. Um, but they're kind of either sliding, roller coastering, whatever is happening with them. The Ravens are 1-5. They appear to be,
Yep.
for all intents and purposes, finished for the year. Derrick Henry
Yep.
is not having the kind of year that he needs to have in order for this team to be successful, especially in the absence of Lamar Jackson. But that is another thing. Like, because Lamar Jackson's gone, teams can sell out to stop Derrick Henry, and it can work. And
Mhm.
so you just saw this up close. We'll talk about that maybe a little later. We talked about the Ravens on last week's episode or 2 weeks ago or whenever we did it, so we won't belabor them too much. But also, the Bills are sliding right now. They've lost 2 in a row to the aforementioned Patriots and now to the Falcons on Monday Night Football in Week 6. And the Chiefs are kind of roller coastering. They had a couple of games to start the year where they dropped some games, and then they won some games kind of close that they shouldn't have been close. But then now they're kind of on an upswing. They won their game this week against the Lions on Sunday Night Football by a pretty large margin. Looks pretty good out there. So kind of a roller coaster of a season so far for the Chiefs, which is not what we expect from them. We expect them to consistently perform at the top of the heap here. So talk about some of these teams, starting with the Bills. What is the biggest weakness for the Bills? What can't they seem to get right now?
I think so. This team was built around Sean McDermott being this defensive guy who was going to have this smothering, hustling defense. And then they had Superman at quarterback, right? Like that feels like the branding of what the Bills have been. They were willing to move on from Stephon Diggs. They've never really invested too highly in offensive weapons. They have a lot of weapons, but it's kind of the like Aaron Rodgers, Packers offensive thing. When was the last time they just drafted like the premier offensive guy? Not really. They work with a lot of second round, third round, fourth round guys. Um, I mean, their highest drafted guy I think is Kincaid on that offense outside of Allen, and Kincaid's been kind of disappointing compared to his expectations for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Considering he got Travis Kelce comparisons. Um, I think their weakness is just the defense. Like, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, Josh Allen has been really good. Um, he's had a couple struggles here and there. But at the end of the day, this defense hasn't really stopped anybody. We saw it against the Ravens when Derrick Henry went for 1 billion yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It just took some craziness at the end of that game for the Bills to be the last one standing, essentially, in that shootout. And then the Patriots, Drake May was just carving them up all over. And then yesterday, we see Bijan Robinson break off a career-long run, and the running backs for the Falcons just looked untackleable. Drake London looked fantastic. It's something's wrong with the defense, and I don't know if it's a lack of talent or a lack of development, but something's wrong. I mean, they can't tackle. Matt Milano's injured, and I know he's a huge part of that defense. But at the end of the day, you let core guys go. Why am I forgetting his name? The linebacker who was there forever, they let him go to the Bears. Um, the super young guy that they drafted, he's a huge linebacker, just a tank. He moved on to the Bears. You got guys like Taylor Rapp starting their like 4th year there on the Bills. Like, love me Taylor Rapp, Rams legend. He's not that good of a
Mm-hmm.
safety. Um, they have a lot of guys on that team where I'm like, I think that these guys would be backups on a lot of other teams in the NFL. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I think their biggest weakness is just the defense not living up to what it's supposed to be. Because I think at their core, the Bills are supposed to be a defense first team under Sean McDermott. And they've really stepped away from that with Josh Allen being as good as he is. But really, they need to step back into that because Josh Allen with a dominant defense would be dominant.
Right.
I don't know. It's you saw that, and obviously Tom Brady had his players, but like Tom Brady always had these dominant defenses, and when you look at his like Super Bowl wins, a lot of times he didn't actually end up having to do too much to win. The defense played really well. And so I think about that with them. It's the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl now off of the back of a great defense and a superstar quarterback, because they've been struggling with their offensive talent for a few years now. So I think the defense needs to get right in Buffalo if they want to keep winning, because past couple weeks they've looked bad, like bad. And I don't. Again, they played the Jets and the Dolphins in between those games. Not good teams. Like let's be
Yeah.
very clear here. Not good teams. So it doesn't actually prove a lot to me that they have 3 wins at this point. They seem pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, I can't think of one Super Bowl the Brady Patriots won where the defense won it for them. Personally, I can't think of even one where that happened. But oh, I can think of maybe one. No, that wasn't real. But I think what you're saying
Against
is
the
right.
Rams.
Yeah, oh, that's the one I was thinking of. That's the one I was thinking of. You're right. You're right.
Mhm.
No other ones though. But you're right. The defense is I think what the problem is here in Buffalo. Because I mean, look, lost in that Week 1 game versus the Ravens is that the Ravens scored 40 points. Like they scored a lot of points on that defense. And then you think
Mhm.
about the games against the Dolphins. That's the final score was 31-21, but in the fourth quarter it was 21-21. And then same
Mhm.
thing against the Saints. The final score was 31-19, but in the fourth quarter it was 19-21. Like these teams, these final scores are a result of Josh Allen being so good that he can muscle this team to score victories, but that's not necessarily how these games are playing out. If you look at the full picture,
Yeah.
um, and it's the maybe fault is the wrong word to use, too strong a word, but it is the fault of the defense in those cases. And you run into situations where that only works for so long. The Dolphins are not a very good team. The Saints are not a very good team. The Patriots are a good team. And if you let them hang around in a game like they did on Sunday night a couple weeks ago, they can beat you. And they did.
Mhm.
And then same thing with the Falcons. Are they not? Are they a great team? No, but they're a team that if you don't watch yourself, they can beat you. And they did
Mhm.
it to the Bills on Monday Night Football. So I think you're right. The defense is the problem, and that's unfortunate for Sean McDermott because, like you say, he's a defensive guy. That's supposed to be what he's about. And if this defense continues to play this poorly, and they don't go far in the playoffs or don't win their division or miss the playoff entirely, they've got a new stadium coming in next year. They might also be looking at
Mhm.
a new coach coming
New
in next
coach.
year when they go into that new stadium
Yeah.
if their defense continues to play this bad. Um, Speaking of defenses that are playing not very well, the Chiefs are also what we're going to talk about here, but we're actually going to talk about the Chiefs' offense. So was fixing the Chiefs' offense as simple as just getting the injured players back? Because it looks like that might be the case, but I'd like to know your thoughts.
Okay, I'm gonna take my tinfoil cap off for this segment because I've been too deep in the Chiefs' recent referee conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Xavier Worthy is a viable, legitimate deep threat. Rashee Rice coming back is going to provide them with an actual, true number one receiver. Um, at the end of the game, or at the end of the day, their run game is still pretty cheeks. But Isaiah Pacheco is by no means a bad running back. Um, the offensive run game just needs to find its stride, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was playing with a lot of guys who aren't starter caliber players in the NFL. I mean,
Yeah.
it is bewildering that Tyquan Thornton and Juju Smith-Schuster were like the leading receivers in multiple games this year. Dudes who were getting cut and basically practice squatted on other teams. Juju hasn't been super relevant in years. Um, so yeah, I think getting healthy definitely fixes a lot of the issues. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to be as much of a Superman when he has all of his guys and all of his toys. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep it short because I don't want to get into conspiracy theories. There's a lot going on with all that, but we don't need to get into that. Um, they're healthy and they're getting right, and it's like you said, we shouldn't count them out. The Chiefs, until proven otherwise, are going to be a competitive playoff team. So maybe I was a fool to have written them off too soon.
Who knows? Because we talked about uh, the defense for the Bills, not being very good.
Mhm.
Um, who's just one spot above them in EPA per play, 23rd in the league? That's Kansas City on defense. So with a defense that's playing as poorly as Kansas City's is, who knows, what they're, capable or not capable of. But to the discussion that we're having here, um, you know, think about a number like adjusted EPA per play, which, among other things, takes into account if basically like if a quarterback had the same receivers, the same O line, the same, uh, you know, turnover luck, drop
Yeah, if
luck.
all things were equal.
If all things were equal, how good would they be? Mahomes is still in the top 10 right now. And so you
Yeah.
think about that when it comes to getting good players back. He's still able to spin it. Of course, we know that. And so, he's going to be able to turn things up here as players keep coming back. So I think, yeah, I think this passing offense is going to start to take a little bit of a leap here. And let's take a look at their schedule in the next couple of weeks and see if we'd be talking about like a real surge here. Let me pull it up here. This week they have week 7. Um, do they have a bye?
No,
Dang it.
because Rasheed Rice is playing.
Oh yeah, yeah. They have Raiders. Okay, so yeah, that's okay.
That's a get
So
right
they
game.
they can win that for sure. So we might be talking about another Chiefs win, get them up over 500, and then they've got Commanders after that, Bills. That'll be interesting. Um, but Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, like they're gonna have to. Their offense is gonna have to show out in some of these games because they're going up against in the Broncos a defense that can definitely ball, the best defense in the league
Yeah.
by EPA per play. Then they have the Colts and the Cowboys, who are offenses that can ball if given the opportunity. And so they're going to have to go ahead and continue to prove that they can get better, and so they'll have an opportunity to showcase it for sure. Um, all right, so that's enough about the AFC. Let's talk about the NFC because we're going to fan corner. And since Drew's not here, it is an all NFC fan corner, all NFC West fan corner, even. So let's start with the Rams. What's going on in Ramsland?
Well, the biggest heartbreak of the week is sweet Pookie got a little hurt, um, and that's no fun to see. I was excited that just last week we talked about the fact that he was on pace to have the best wide receiver season of all time. He was on pace to do 2,000 yards, and now there's this Seahawk guy who's passed him in yards, whatever his name is. Um,
Talk
and
about it
so
in a second.
yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. Um, it's a win is a win, and I'll say that every week. If we win, I can't be upset. I can't be sad. I can't be anything because the NFL is so short. Every single win is so magnified, and at the end of the day, last week I was preaching. We were a couple blocked kicks away from being 5-0. Well, dude, we're 4-2, and we've had a pretty tough gauntlet of teams here. We've played the Niners, we've played the Eagles. We didn't think that the Colts were going to be good, and it turns out they were, and they were part of our slate. We played
Mm-hmm.
Houston, and that defense we've won. Like we've come out of a pretty tough slate of games, and we're 4-2. We're, I believe, a week or two away from our bye week. And so I feel good. We've got a great defensive front. We're putting pressure up. Stafford looks incredible when he's not throwing to Devontae Adams. And, if our guys just need to learn how to catch a little bit better. Our blocking has been a little bit tough, but we also haven't had the same starting offensive line group once this year. Every single week we've had an injury on the offensive line. So would love to see us get some health and consistency there. But outside of that, I mean, I feel like, I'm cherry picking first world problems. Like we're 4-2, we're right smack in the middle of that division race. We're playing well, and at the end of the day, that's all I can ask for is to just be in the hunt, be in the race. So all good in this neighborhood.
Yeah, stay in it, and hope you can just stay in it for long enough to actually end up in it. That's really it.
Be alive at the end.
Also, Devontae Adams fantasy manager. I'm doing the Charles Barkley like WTF? What the hell is going on? I don't like that he like I didn't watch like I do Red Zone. I'm I'm a Red Zone guy, so I'm watching Stafford go to Devontae Adams twice in the red zone, and he didn't catch it either time, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? Why are you doing this? So they got to get on the same page for the Rams' sake only, and certainly not for my sake.
They've had a tough season together. Stafford has not been. I would say Stafford's inaccurate passes have almost exclusively been to Devontae Adams. But on top of that, Devontae Adams is having his worst season in terms of his drop rate that he's ever had. He's up to like 15% drop rate right now. Right. So the mix of inaccuracy and dropping the ball leads to, 9 targets with 2 catches for 40 yards. Like, it's these really bizarre things where if you watch Rams games and you're just like box score hunting Devontae, you're like, oh man, terrible, terrible. You watch the game and it's like, oh dude, Devontae could have had, 120 yards and 2 touchdowns if Stafford didn't overthrow him on 3 separate, wide open touchdowns and long balls. Like, it's tough. They gotta get it together because especially if Puka misses any time, it's gotta be Devontae. Like, there's a reason we paid this dude to come here and be our guy. Yep. We need him. We need him bad.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay, so let's go to Seattle.
Yeah, your fantasy team could use some more points.
Oh, yeah, I could, for sure. That's not even a joke. It could for real, especially this week. Not to shade my opponent for this week, who's sitting on the other side of the screen here, but my team's gonna need all the points he can get this week because Rashee Rice coming back doesn't only help the Chiefs. I'll tell you that. It also helps somebody else in here. And it's not me. I'll give you a hint.
For context, Dallas is one of the best teams in the league by record.
That's right.
And I've scored like 150 more points than him, and I'm 500.
Dude, my defense is just too good. My defense is good, man. I keep my opponents from scoring points. Man. Well, I don't know what you mean. 5-1 is 5-1. That's the way it goes.
Hey, I can't shade it. 5-1, man.
No one cares about our fantasy league, but I started Justice Hill this week in our fantasy league because one of my running back, I have Jordan Mason. He was on bye, and there was no one to pick up. There was no one in the waivers, and so I just was like, screw it. I'm 4-1. I have a loss to give. I can be 4-2. That's fine. I'll just start Justice Hill. I'm not going to make a crazy trade for no reason. And I still won. Like, that's the state of what's going on in fantasy for me this year. It's amazing. I'm getting so lucky. That luck, I assume luck will run out this week, but it's been fun while it lasted.
I have Puka, Emeka Egbuka, George Pickens, and I'm still losing games.
and I
Those are
started
three of the
age
top
and I
five
started
receivers through like 3, 4 weeks.
and I started Justice Hill, AJ Barner, and Keon Coleman, and I won. So now what? Um, but all right, so let's go back to Seattle, where we're going to go here to Fan Corner. They beat the Jaguars, which I didn't know if I was super confident they'd be able to do because of the people they're missing on defense. Um, Derek Hall is injured on the D line. He's been a really strong edge player this year, and they were missing 3 Pro Bowlers in the secondary. Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon, and Tariq Woolen were all out. Tariq Woolen, maybe he's gone back to Tariq, I think. I don't know. Woolen, he was out as well. So 3 Pro Bowlers gone in the secondary against Trevor Lawrence, who looked really good against the Chiefs. You got Brian Thomas Jr. over there, no slouch. Um, I think Seattle kind of caught a break in that Brenton Strange had to go on IR. He was contributing a lot to that offense. But so I didn't know that they would win, but they sure did. And it was not as close as the score would tell you. Watching the game, it felt like the Seahawks were definitely a lot better than the Jags on that day. I think that the game went, so the game went fine. This Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba thing that's going on is something that it's just the most remarkable thing I maybe have ever seen offensively as a Seahawks fan in like, I don't know, 12 years or something. Like it's like really create like the thing I'm thinking of that might come close is there was like a season in like 2015 or something when Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin went on like a 5-week run where they were like Doug Baldwin had like 8 touchdown catches or something. So that's what I'm thinking of. But like this is something that is just like different than that because it's not just touchdowns. It's just the fact that Jackson Smith and Jigba hasn't found a secondary that can cover him yet, and it's week 6. Like they just can't do it. Like he's too good, and it shocks me still every week because I've said it before, and I'll continue to eat this as long as he does this well. Like I did not see this happening for him, but he is for sure like the biggest superstar at wide receiver the Seahawks have had maybe since like Steve Largent, maybe. Like this is real, what we're seeing from Jackson Smith and Jigba. And it was on display again against Jacksonville. I've watched the play action 61-yard touchdown pass from Darnold to Njigba like I don't know
A
20
dog, by the way.
like 20 times since the game. Like it's the most beautiful thing I ever saw. Like, and it was so awesome. Like it's just awesome to watch those two get together. And it doesn't have to just be deep. Like he finds his way open on almost everything, and Sam always finds him. And it's a great thing to watch. But beyond that, I think the defense also looks really good. The defensive line got DeMarcus Lawrence back, who I think might be like the secret ingredient for the defensive line somehow. Like because they played a game without him, and they didn't look that great at all from a pass rush perspective. And then he came back, and they had 7 sacks against Trevor Lawrence. And when they put him and Leonard Williams on the same side, with Leonard Williams on the interior and him on the edge, one of them is back there pressuring the quarterback every time. Like it's crazy how good they are together and how much of like a secret ingredient DeMarcus Lawrence seems to be. Kind of a later in the offseason addition for Seattle that I kind of overlooked, but has been really, really crucial for them. So any win that we get missing 3 Pro Bowlers in the secondary is awesome. No matter what, especially when the defense plays as well as they played, even without them. What I will say is that we cannot, please, we cannot go on national TV on Monday Night Football in Week 7 against C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins without at least 2 of Love, Witherspoon, and Woolen. Like, please, we can't, because we'll just be humiliated. Like, Trevor Lawrence, he's had his moments this year and in past years, but CJ Stroud is someone I trust way more to exploit a weak secondary. And Nico Collins, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. has had moments in his first 2 years in the NFL for sure. But Nico Collins is someone who I also trust more than him to expose a weak secondary. So I want the Seahawks to show on national TV that they look as good as they look at 10 a.m. on CBS fourth broadcast crew. But it's not going to be possible against this Texans team if they don't have their starters back. So I hope they're back because this team can look really good. And it'll be a good test for the offense because the defense for the Texans is really, really, really good. And so we'll see if the offense can do something with that. But if they're going to, they have to get the run game going, and they don't know what they're doing with the run game. So hopefully they can figure it out. That's the only real gripe that I have right now is they just don't know what they're doing in the run game, and they need to figure it out ASAP. Because this, I mean, right now they're in the Jags game. They're just switching out drives. Ken Walker gets one, Charbonnet gets one, and that's what they're doing, and that's not going to work. Okay, so that'll end Fan Corner for today. I mean, Broncos, they also won. They're in London. Representation for Drew. They won in London or somewhere over there. I don't know if they were
An ugly
London.
win is still a win.
Yep, they won over there across the pond. So congratulations to the Broncos on another dub. Okay, so let's make some predictions for Week 7. And start with you. What is your so go over your prediction from last show and your prediction for this week, and let's hear it. What do you got for us?
Yeah. So my prediction last week was that the first notable trade of the season was going to occur. I did unfortunately make this prediction moments after some notable trades went through. So I said that we weren't going to count those. But to my benefit, it was only, I believe, the next day or the day after that Ode Awafe, I could be saying that name wrong. He was like a first-round pick for the Ravens, edge rusher, gets traded to the Chargers in exchange for one of their starting corners and then some late-round swaps. I'm going to count that because anytime you're exchanging, a recent first-round pick, I would say that qualifies as notable. So I'm gonna call that a win right there. So yeah, first notable trade of the season happened. You're welcome. As for this week, what do I want to do this week? Because Drew last week, he's like, oh, I don't want to just pick someone to win. I'm like, okay, well, that's those are great predictions. But this week, I will say. What do I want to say? This week, Davante Adams goes for 200 plus yards. Call it.
That would be awesome. I would love to see that. All right,
He's
there you
gonna
go.
have
Who you
his
got?
big
Jaguars?
breakout for the Rams.
Or who is it? Jaguars this week, right? For you guys?
I believe we're playing the Jaguars in London.
Across the pond as well?
I
Dude, if
believe
Davante
so.
Adams has
I can double check that. Yeah.
if Davante Adams has 200 yards before I wake up, that'd be awesome. I would love that. But look, outside of the Jags have a corner, like I think he wears like number 30 or something, something like that. I don't know his name, but he was getting busy against Seattle. But outside of that, people were eating. So especially, I mean, JSN isn't really a
I'm
good
gonna say, man,
comparison for anybody now, but he was eating, so I think you guys have a good shot.
if Puka's out, Stafford is one of those guys who he picks one target, and that dude's gonna have a career game, a career year, a career everything. I think this is the game, especially if Puka's out. I mean, we could be looking at one of the best Davante Adams games of all time. 18 targets, 200 yards. Like, I don't even know, man, because Tutu Atwell's a little banged up. Jordan Whittington doesn't really get super involved, and he had some big drops. who else is going to be? Tyler Higbee? Like, I don't think Tyler Higbee's going to go put on a legacy game in London. So I'm banking on it, man. It's
All
unfortunate
right.
it's against me, but Devontae Adams,
Hey,
200.
real life over fantasy every day of the week. So no problem, no
Oh yeah,
problem there.
oh yeah.
Um, all right, so I'll go over Drew's pick from last show, Drew's prediction from last show, and then make one for him this week. So for last show, his prediction was that the Bears Commanders would end with a successful Hail Mary again. We got pretty close. It did come down to the last possession,
Yeah.
but the Bears were able to make it a little bit further down the field than was required for a Hail Mary and take it on a game-winning field goal from Jake Moody, LOL. And if you know, you know. So, a bold prediction. We always honor the bold on this show, but unfortunately, no Hail Mary in Bears Commanders. Okay, so this week, the prediction I'm making for Drew and for myself is that the NFC South will go 4-0 this week in Week 7. So that is the Panthers over the Jets, the Saints over the Bears, that is the Falcons over the 49ers, and that is the Bucks over the Lions. So watch out for that. Really only one I don't feel awesome about. The other three I feel awesome about those, but Saints over Bears is going to be a tough one to actually make happen. But you never know. Coming off the Monday Night Football banger hangover, what could happen? So NFC South 4-0 this week. That's what I'm predicting. Okay, so let's end the show with our Dingers and Stingers segment. So this is the part of the show where we give you one good thing, a dinger, and one bad thing, a stinger, from the world of sports for the week. So let's start with the stingers, as we always do, and let's start with Matt.
Yeah, I have a kind of a combo stinger. These are not related, but it was just two big things that happened. They've both been discussed in this week's episodes. But I'm going with a combo of the Puka injury. That's heartbreaking to me. Puka's maybe one of my favorite players ever. Seeing him on this pace and getting hurt really sucked. Um, and then also, I'm going to say the Schilt fire or the Schilt retiring. Uh, no reports out saying he was fired. Don't take that from my mouth. Um, Schilt leaving. As much as I wanted different philosophy, as much as I had my gripes with him as our manager, at the end of the day, I am also a big believer in consistency for sports and building something. And someone put out a thing. This is like the Padres' fifth or sixth manager in a row who only lasted 2 seasons, or at least there's been a recent string of them or something. And it's just you look at the history and you're like, man, it would be cool to have one of those managers who just built a culture, right? You look at some of these teams that consistently stay winning, they stay competitive, they actually make these deep playoff runs, and they have these cultures of winning. And I just don't know that we have that, and now we have to start over again. A little bit why I'm hoping we end up taking a manager on the younger side is hopefully they're willing to just be like, this is my team, my place, my legacy. But we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. But yeah, so kind of a double stinger this week, but you know, all things considered, not bad.
All right. All right. So I'll give mine. It's also kind of a lighter, I mean, I guess your stingers weren't very light, but mine is a lighter stinger, a lighter fare. Um, I'm watching Monday Night Football, and I'm watching my boy Joe Buck do his thing. I'm a big broadcaster guy. I was a major of that in
Go
college,
Bucks.
and I like Joe Buck, so I'm watching Joe Buck do his thing. And it brings up something that I've seen happen a couple times so far this NFL season that I want to bring up because I have beef with it. And my stinger this week is broadcasters misunderstanding Bill. All right. So if you're not familiar, the running back for the Commanders, one of the running backs for the Commanders, the rookie running back, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And when he was drafted or sometime in the offseason,
Nice.
he said, just call me Bill because his name is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. It's 3 names. It's a lot of R's. It's turning around a little bit. You could mispronounce it. He says, just call me Bill. That's funny. It's really funny to say that, and it is funny to think about announcers doing that to be funny. Some of them have tried to do that, but they are doing it wrong because they are saying Bill Krosky-Merritt. Ja'Cory wasn't the problem. It's all 3 of them together that was the problem. You're not supposed to call him Bill Krosky-Merritt. You're supposed to call him Bill. Like it's not hard to get what's funny about this. Like it's not funny to say Bill Krosky-Merritt goes for 4 yards. It's funny to say Bill goes for 4 yards. How are they misunderstanding this? How are they not getting this right? It's the easiest thing in the world to get a laugh and be awesome about, and almost every time I've heard someone try it, they have gotten it incorrect. He needs to just say it in a press conference or something, lay it out for him. This is not what was supposed to happen when we started calling him Bill. And so I needed a broadcaster out there to hear what I'm saying and get it right. And when he breaks like a 50-yard touchdown and just say touchdown, Bill. And that will make me laugh, and that will be funny, and that'll make it all worth it. But let's go now and end on the good and go to the dingers for the week. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Dinger for the week. I'm actually going to go outside of the NFL a little bit and outside of our normal spectrum. Um, College football's been super fun. This was another great week of college football. As a guy who grew up my family is LA teams typically. At least my dad would say so, and I've kind of branched off in some places, but overall, I'm still typically an LA through and through guy. Um, UCLA is having one of the greatest underdog stories in recent memory. They were looking like they might be the worst team in the conference, and all of a sudden fired their coach. They look great. USC seems to have found something. I mean, they went out and put a whooping on Michigan. Um, I've been having a good time seeing, Penn State, they're in shambles. I think that's a good
True.
time. There's no true powerhouses outside of Ohio State, and I'm just waiting and praying on them to lose a game at some point because, we've got losses by Oregon, we've got losses by Georgia, we've got losses by Alabama, we've got losses. I mean, Texas is unranked at this point. They were the preseason number one. It's college has been fun this year. In a competitive sense. I think the
Mm-hmm.
product on the field is still pretty bad, but in a competitive sense, man, college has been a good time. That was my dinger. It was a fun Saturday of college football for me.
That rules. Yeah, it's the only thing that that does penetrate my world about college football is when things start to go really wrong for someone that it was supposed to go really right for.
Yeah,
And that's happened a lot this year. So
yeah.
I'm getting a lot of things that have penetrated my little bubble. Whether it be Arch Manning stuff or Oregon losing or UCLA
Mm-hmm.
beating teams they shouldn't beat. Obviously Penn State we mentioned. So all that's making it through to me, and it's very interesting to me to see. So I'll end
Mm-hmm.
with my dinger. And look, it's about the city of Seattle. They were on fire last weekend as we're recording this. The Thursday through Sunday that precedes our recording here. They had their sports teams just go off. 7 wins, 1 tie, no losses. With the Seahawks, Mariners, Kraken, Sounders, and UW all getting wins. So the city of Seattle had a
Sonics.
great weekend. I always, I'm not a Mariner fan. I'm not a Kraken fan, even though I tried to be when they became a thing. And I was just like, oh, I don't actually like hockey. I forgot. And I'm not a Sounders fan. I'm not a soccer guy. I'm not a UW guy. But I love the Seahawks so much that I love the city of Seattle for that. And they had a great weekend and they were on fire. And it's good to see a city that's had You know, so much like sports turmoil like afflict them. They had their basketball team taken away a lot of years ago, but it still happened. The Mariners have, always been, heartbreakers. They, us Seahawks fans have enjoyed some good times the last decade plus or so. But it's good to see the city of Seattle get a banger of a weekend for them where they just can't lose. It does the heart good that likes Seattle. So that's my dinger for the week. Go Seattle. We love to see it. The more Seattle wins, the more the
Yep.
Seahawks win, which is what I like. So that'll do it for this week's episode, this week's NFL episode. If you haven't checked out our MLB episode where we recap the division series, talked about the championship series so far, among other things, go check that out as well. And then tune in next week where we talk about week 7 and what the heck is going to happen there. We'll talk about it all on our next episode. But until then, just subscribe here so you don't miss it. Like this video, hit us in the comments with your dingers and stingers for the week. Let us know how your team's doing. Let us know what you make of this AFC mess. All that we want to hear from you. Follow us on Instagram at Dingers and Stingers. And tune in again next week for another banger episode of Dingers and Stingers. We'll see you then. Bye.